Hello, and welcome to Coca-Cola of Northern New England's Recycling Education Program. There is a lot of misinformation in the world about recycling, and this video is designed to help educate people about the facts and myths around recycling.
One myth about recycling is that plastic bags are bad because they're unable to be recycled.
There are many negative connotations associated with plastic bags, and there's been a big trend from switching into reusable bags. Many people are against plastic bags because they are worried about them blowing into the ocean or other environments where animals could mistake them as food. Although you can't put plastic bags in a typical recycling bin, they can still be recycled. All you have to do is bring them back to the grocery store. Most grocery stores should have plastic bag drop-off locations that look like this. When you bring your plastic bags back to the grocery store, you shouldn't just stop at plastic bags. Any other type of lightweight plastic bag-like material can be brought back to the grocery store. This could include sandwich bags, cling wrap, plastic wrapping, Ziploc bags, cereal bags, bubble wrap, or bread bags. All those types of plastic material can be brought back to your grocery store the same way plastic bags are. Another great thing about recycling plastic bags or plastic bag-like material is what it could become. Trex Decking is a company that collects this type of material to turn it into decks. This decking material is all made from recycled plastic bags or plastic bag-like material, such as shrink wrap.
So, now you know, plastic bags are really not that bad. Another myth about recycling is that you can't recycle containers that are dirty. This actually isn't true. That used to be the case, but today's recycling technology has no problem processing dirty containers. Think about it like this. When you recycle plastic, you have to get the label off. What do you think is harder to get off? A label that's glued onto a container or some peanut butter? Once the machine gets the label off, the peanut butter or any food in your container is long gone. So you don't need to waste energy cleaning them out. You can put dirty containers right in your recycling bin.
The only thing you should do with a dirty container like this is open it up and let your dog have fun with it. Then it can be put right back in the recycling bin as is.
That myth is now busted. Another myth about recycling is that trucks that collect recycling burn more energy and produce more pollution than recycling actually saves. Many studies have found that this is not true. It is much more energy efficient to manufacture products from recyclables than it is to manufacture products from virgin materials. And collecting and hauling all of that recycled material doesn't really have that much of an environmental impact. Whether you throw something in a trash or recycling bin, some truck is going to have to pick it up. So this myth is busted. Another myth about recycling is that it costs more to recycle than to make things from new materials.
This is not true. Many recycled products not only save energy and water, but also reduce raw material usage and the associated energy and pollution caused in the process of obtaining those raw materials. For example, mining for aluminum is a very energy-intensive process that could be very harmful to the environment. It is much more efficient to recycle aluminum over and over again and reuse those aluminum cans.
So that myth is now busted. Another myth is that there is no market for recycled materials.
These are just a few examples of some of the companies that CCNNE works with to recycle plastic and use that to make their own materials. Trex Decking uses plastic bag-like material to make decks. Foss Manufacturing and Polar Tech uses recycled plastic to make clothes.
It is often cheaper for companies to buy recycled plastic than virgin plastic to make their products. A lot of these companies wish there was actually more recycled plastic available in the market. Sometimes they are forced to buy plastic products overseas because there is not enough plastic being recycled in this country.
That myth is just not true.
Another myth about recycling is that not much of solid waste is actually able to be recycled.
In the 80s, 25% was considered the maximum level of waste that could be recycled. More recent estimates done by the EPA today suggest that 75% of the waste that an average person generates could actually be recycled. Unfortunately, only 30% of that waste actually gets recycled, which means the rest of the 45% will end up in a landfill. So this myth is not true. The problem is really educating people about what can and can't be recycled.
Many people think that landfills create a lot of jobs for rural communities, so recycling shouldn't be as important. Landfills do create jobs, but recycling centers create jobs for both rural and urban communities. It is estimated that recycling centers could create 10 times more jobs than landfill centers.
So although the statement is not a myth and landfills do create jobs for rural communities, recycling centers create many more jobs. Another myth about recycling is that styrofoam cannot be recycled. Although it is true that you can't put styrofoam in a typical recycling bin, that doesn't mean it belongs in the trash. Styrofoam actually is a recyclable material. Unfortunately, it can't be collected by traditional recycling centers because it's either not economically feasible, there isn't enough volume of styrofoam, or they don't have the right equipment to recycle it. However, you can search online for places to recycle styrofoam near you. Home for Foam is just an example of a website that helps you find places to recycle styrofoam. Styrofoam can be recycled with different types of machinery. It will get processed and look like these big chunks of styrofoam. Those chunks can be then used to made into new styrofoam products. So now you know that styrofoam actually can be recycled. Thank you for listening, and we hope you learned a lot about recycling and sustainability. The following sources were used for photos or information in this video.